Hi, this is Ren.
This is Casey.
And this is All Walks of Film. So, we just watched the new Ghostbusters movie. You know that movie that everybody said was actually good, you guys? Yeah. This movie had the marketing campaign from hell. And
they doubled down in the movie. Like, they wrote into the movie that, oh, there are YouTube comments saying bitches can't bust ghosts, and there are YouTube comments that are degrading them, and there are men in fedoras who are stupid and don't think that they're good at what they do.
Oh my god, the men in this movie were so stupid.
Well, to be fair, so were the women.
Yeah, but, like...
I mean, this movie was very sexist, but to be... Like, it was so regressively... Like, it was such an example of regressive feminism where the women were so fucking terrible.
Yeah. And here's the thing. Like, when the movie started out, it wasn't as bad as I thought at the very beginning. I was like, okay, this movie, it's decent. Like, it's not terrible.
It's pretty much where I expected it to fall, where I was like, this is a blandly bad movie.
Yeah, I mean, like anything Kevin Hart does, or...
Yeah, I just thought it was going to be boring. Meh. It's going to be stupid, but I didn't...
Yeah, it's like the typical comedy with a little bit of, action or whatever infused with it. And, it's like paint by number stuff. But, like, this movie went a little bit beyond that.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, the best example I can give you of the kind of movie this is, they're all upset that the media is calling them the Ghostbusters. Oh, where did they get that name from? When that is literally the name of the YouTube page that they created and posted their paranormal videos on. They called themselves the Ghostbusters, and then we're all, where did they get this Ghostbusters from? That's the kind of movie it was. If you're going like, why? But that's stupid. Yeah, that's the kind of movie it was. But why?
And I had a feeling that the movie was going to kind of go down that rate where... So, Kristen Wiig actually gets told by her boss to suck it. Like, her boss literally says that.
No, that was Melissa McCarthy.
It was to both of them, though.
Yeah, but it was Melissa McCarthy's boss. It was the substitute principal at a high school. It wasn't like the dean of Columbia University.
Okay.
I mean, it was pretty bad that they took the gimmick from Guardians of the Galaxy and just did that for like a minute. But...
Yeah, but it was also like, oh, I see. Look at this misogynist. Like, aren't men terrible?
That was literally every single male in the entire movie. It was either you're actively misogynistic or you're stupid and pretty and misogynistic.
Yeah.
Like, there was not one single developed male character, but there was not a single developed female character either. So, it just comes down to shitty writing.
I mean, like, Kristen Wiig is probably the most developed character in the movie.
In that she is written in the script the most of the bunch, I guess.
Yeah, even though,
she has
like,
no
her
personality of which to speak.
Her relationship with Melissa McCarthy, long-term friends, never fucking see that in the movie. I
was pointing that out to you, that I was like, oh, isn't it great that her lifelong best friend just happened to be gone when she's telling the story of how they became friends? Wouldn't that have been a great moment for them to share together? Again, regressive fucking feminism. Where it's
you
like,
could have had a fucking stupid flashback and it would have been better.
Well, yeah, but it's just another example of regressive feminism where females cannot have cohesive, functioning, fulfilling relationships with each other. And I don't mean sexually, I just mean as people. Because the best chemistry in the entire movie was just how much Leslie and Kay hated each other. That was the best, was that they didn't like each other. And about the best that Kristen Wiig and Melissa McCarthy got was when they were squabbling over their differing opinions about a man. Oh, it's so progressive that you wrote these women into it, except for the fact that they all suck. Nuh-uh, but they're scientists, but nothing that comes out of their mouth makes any sense. They're stupid. which is especially egregious when you consider the fact that they're scientists, and they're all racist. That helps. Oh my god, the treatment of Leslie Jones. This movie was so fucking racist.
And at first it was good. Like,
at first she came in and she was the best character, and that lasted for a minute,
she was like,
that left the building.
At first she was the smartest character in the whole fucking movie.
Yeah.
And I was actually like looking at Casey and I was like, I mean, other than the scenes we've seen in the trailer, this might be the surprise. And no.
I quickly realized that every scientific or historical fact that they pulled up in this movie could be found on the first page of Google.
Yeah, it seems like the script writers were just like, oh, let's come up with something, but let's not actually like do research because like, oh my god, research is so oppressive. Let's just go onto Google and like see what the first thing that comes up is.
Pretty much, yeah. It's just like they just put in random terms into Google and just copied and pasted what they found. It was really dumb. And to be fair, we were hating on this movie, and there was almost nobody in the movie theater, but the people who were there were happy with it because they weren't expecting it to be funny.
Yeah, so we saw this in XD. So we weren't watching it in the small theater. We were watching it in the biggest theater in the theater.
But it wasn't 3D.
Yeah, it wasn't 3D. 3D usually sucks. But...
Oh, well, yeah. And especially considering that, like, if I didn't know about the pre-production hell of this, I would have been convinced that this movie was literally just made as a 2-hour-long advertisement for Universal Orlando's new theme park ride.
Yeah,
like,
which seems terrible, because, like, I see this movie, and I'm like, why am I not at Disney World at the Haunted Mansion? Nothing to do with Ghostbusters. I kind of want the Haunted Mansion right now.
Well, like, if you look at how he says, welcome to the 70s New York, he has this whole monologue that feels like the thing that you hear on the intercom when the roller coaster is about to begin, and they wrote in this whole thing where, like, every time the ghosts pass through walls, this huge splash of ectoplasm comes out, like, much more so than you would think, just to, like, splash the audience at a roller coaster ride, and then you had the whole shot with Slimer and his girlfriend and or prostitute lady going up and down in the portal that was totally supposed to be like, this is what the roller coaster part's gonna feel like.
I got a feeling that's not going to happen due to the reception of this movie.
There's been a lot of, but the media is just like they have an agenda to say this, and this. But the reviews are kind of separate from the sort of Gamergate-esque media mongering thing that's happening very separately, where they're like, oh, Ghostbuster Bros, which is what they're calling them. Which is actually name.
In the fucking movie. Like,
yeah, but it's also a stupid movie, or it's a stupid name like Ghostbuster Bros. Like I can barely spit it out. But those articles are not really reviews because they don't really talk that much about the merit of the movie, other than, but it's good because women are funny. Because I wouldn't really qualify those as reviews, but most of the reviews were either I was going in expecting to like this and I didn't like this, or oh, I like this, but it doesn't compare to either Ghostbusters or any of the other Paul Feig movies.
Oh yeah, this is like unfunny for just simply being a Paul Feig movie. Because I actually enjoyed Bridesmaids. I thought The Heat was okay, and I haven't seen Spy. But I've heard from a lot of people that it's good.
Well, yeah, and the weird thing about this movie is that there were exactly 3 times in the entire film that I laughed, and none of them were at jokes. There was not a single joke in this entire movie that worked for me. Not a single fucking joke that was actually supposed to be funny. Okay, I will say this. I have one single thing I liked in this movie, and it was very exceptionally good. Somebody in the sound department is amazing, and I'm not talking about the Fall Out Boy shitty cover, or the other shitty song that they made about this movie, because there were 2. There were 2 shitty new Ghostbusters songs in one movie. But I'm talking about whoever it is who has been doing those really awesome Ghostbuster theme revamps, and a lot of the, like, sort of Final Fantasy VII, Advent Children, operatic, sort of over-the-top shit. it was getting me going. I was feeling the music. I loved the way that they revamped it. It was the only thing I liked in the trailers and the promotional stuff. It's the only thing I liked in this movie. But it was very, very good. I can't even give, like, other people... The editor? Fuck the editor. That scene where they're in the concert and Leslie Jones is on the ground and all of a sudden she's up and grabbed by the dragon. There was clearly a deleted scene in there.
Yeah, there were a couple moments where that happened where it was like...
and now we're here now.
How did we get from this point to this point?
Yeah, that happened a few times, and that happened a lot during the third act. Fuck you to the costume designer, not just because the Ghostbuster suits were bad, everything was bad.
Okay,
everything
these costumes literally look like they went to the costume shop on the corner and came back and were like, hey guys, look, this is pretty cool. And then, we just took Kate McKenna to the fucking thrift shop and we just...
Well, yeah, I was
tailored
a lot of
things to be form-fitting and everything for her, but other than that...
Well, nothing Kate McKenna was wearing was form-fitting except for her crop top.
Oh, but, you missed a couple. You missed one.
No, I saw that outfit. It wasn't. But, yeah, I wanted to originally say that it was, like, Party City, but it wasn't even that sophisticated. It was, like, for anyone who's in the South, it's like if you go to a Savers during Halloween... And they have their generic run-of-the-mill, like, Halloween costumes that are, like, kind of on par with Walmart, but less distinctive, kind of. That's what it felt like. So, fuck you for that.
Hey,
fuck
let's
you to
throw
the production designer.
Let's literally have firefighter outfits.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because, like... I mean, it's always, like, been implied, that
they were kind of like firefighters. They were in, like, the firefighter station, and they were on call and all that, yeah. But this was just, like, so devoid of personality. I mean, that was really the main problem with the entire movie. The entire movie is so devoid of personality. The four main characters are just cardboard cutout, stereotypes. Just because they're women doesn't suddenly make it better that they're poorly developed and shoddily written. You have the fat one, the awkward one, the black one, and the raunchy one. And that's about as much development as they have, period. You don't know anything about their likes or their dislikes. All you know is that they're just kind of not very intelligent. At best, Kate McKenna has the most amount of personal development because she likes dancing to music, but she doesn't even know the difference between drastically different bands. So you can't even say that that's, like, an interest of hers. They're not people. Well, I mean, obviously they're not people. They're
you would expect that over the course of a film, their relationships would build, there would be conflict between the team, and then they would come together. That's usually how these fucking movies work. This movie... didn't do that. Literally
nothing changed in any of the relationships after the first 8 minutes. Because the only thing is, like, at the beginning... God, I don't even know their names. But Kristen Wiig and Melissa McCarthy had been separated for a while. And now she's mad. But now she's not mad anymore. And now they're okay.
And now they're criticizing Kristen Wiig because she's possibly committing sexual harassment with... her new employee.
But it's not sexual harassment or sexist when it's women doing it to men.
And Chris Hemsworth was clearly gay in that movie.
Well, it wasn't Chris Hemsworth. It was Rowan. Like, there was so much... It was starting to be, like, almost uncomfortably self-deprecating that the male was this, like, flamboyant woman-hating gay man. I was kind of like, Paul Feig, why would you... write this shitty character unless it's this sort of, like, social justice, self-flogging of, me and my white male privilege because gay people are not oppressed in Hollywood anymore, technically, according to privilege stacking.
Seriously, like, if we can't discourage you to watch the movie, then fine. Go and watch the movie. But I will ask this one thing of you. Watch an independent movie.
Oh, yeah, there's so many really good independent movies that are easy to find. Like, very accessible.
Yeah, just watch, like, Swiss Army Man or... Yes. I forget the Wilder People one.
Oh yeah, because we haven't seen that one yet, but I really want to. The Wild Hunter or something like that.
Yeah, we'll look it up.
Yeah. I would say, because honestly, really, I know we just shit on it, but I want to know if you liked it. Why did you like it?
Yeah, and don't give me just like. Don't give me just like, oh, it was okay, I enjoyed it. No, I seriously mean if you liked it. What genuinely did you like about it?
Well,
because when I ask people about, like, Batman v Superman, like, what did you like about the movie? I usually can't get a clear and concise response to it.
Oh, yeah, the best justification for that movie I got was, well, the other superheroes that were in it for less than 2 minutes, combined, might have better movies in the future. And I'm like, that doesn't make this movie good. But with this movie, I'm not saying this to pick a fight. I might be missing something. That can happen. Maybe I'm wrong. But I would really like someone to explain this to me, because we were the only ones having a bad time at that movie. So we might really be missing. When we saw 50 Shades of Grey, everyone was laughing at that shit except for this one person in the audience who was like, no, you guys, it's what it was like in the book. Like, to the entire theater. So maybe we were really missing something. Maybe we were biased because the promo was so terrible. I will say the promo for this movie could have been better. Now that I see this, that was not the best they had to work with. The marketing was a disaster.
Oh, the marketing was... I mean, there's an entire channel where half their fucking videos are talking about the fucking nightmare of marketing that the Ghostbusters movie was. But we haven't even gotten into the big thing, which is the fuck you to Harold Ramis.
No, it wasn't... I mean, I still think it's kind of offensive that they even list Dan Aykroyd as an executive producer when they very clearly, intentionally sought to remove him from having any creative input in the movie. And because people are...
And just make him a shitty cab driver who's like, I ain't afraid of no ghost. Yeah.
Well, because a lot of people were saying, oh, well, like before this movie came out, they were like, oh, but Dan Aykroyd is the producer and he has all this creative control, so he wouldn't sign off on things. But there are emails from Amy Pascal saying that she was definitely intentionally trying to remove him in order to make this movie. And when Harold Ramis died, my theory is that it was out of grief. I don't know if this is true, but what happened was Harold Ramis died, and suddenly Dan Aykroyd stepped down.
Dan Aykroyd stepped down, but also...
so this is not his movie.
Ivan Reitman was the big one that they shit all over.
Well, yeah, that too.
But I have heard that Ivan Reitman is developing another Ghostbusters animated show, so there's some hope for that.
Yeah.
But I'll be really interested to hear the reception of this movie this weekend. That should be pretty entertaining.
I will say one of the other bizarre things about marketing was I was pissed that Ghostbusters, like this one was just called Ghostbusters, because there's only two options with that. You either call it Ghostbusters 2016, which is what we do for Godzilla movies, so okay. Or you call it the female Ghostbusters, because that's literally the only defining thing. They somewhat fixed that halfway through marketing by giving it a subtitle, Answer the Call.
Yeah, so you can just call it Ghostbusters ATC.
Like, yeah, but that's not catchy at all, and also has nothing to do with the plot or the story, and is never used as a line. What the fuck is that subtitle? Like, now that I see it, I'm just looking at it, I'm like, even that is garbage. I mean, that's really a lot of what this movie was. I was sitting there, ghosts of balloons that can be killed with a Swiss Army knife. And that's what the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man is.
Yeah, Stay Puft Marshmallow Man is in this movie. He is a possessed giant Macy's Day Parade balloon.
But why are there ghosts of balloons?
Oh, well, there were supposed to be, like, ghost aliens and stuff like that, and the movie didn't have that, even though we heard some leak stuff about that, so that might be in the next one if they do that, but I don't know.
They were clearly balloons.
Well, yeah. No, I was...
So every time after a Macy's Day Parade, when you deflate the balloons, you're actually murdering them? and then they haunt you as ghosts?
No,
What the fuck is this movie?
No, I thought they were possessed. Like, the balloons were possessed.
But that's still stupid!
Oh, yeah, and ghost polar bears?
That is at least something I've heard about, is like, oh, but why can't there be animal ghosts? My problem with it is that you say it no less than 3 times, and you don't show it ever. If there are animal ghosts, let's see the animal ghost. Why are we looking at ghost balloons instead of animals? Oh, well, we did see a dragon somehow. Like, none of this shit makes any sense. And that is not what ionized means, damn it! How many times did they say, oh, it's ionized, it's ionized, the ghosts have ionized, the ghosts are ionized? They said that so many damn times. Oh my god. Like, how do you write scientists so stupid?
You Wikipedia that shit. That's how.
I mean, to be fair, they're not the only insanely dumb scientists, but they're probably the only insanely dumb scientists outside of an Uwe Boll film.
Yeah, and, like, none of them were, like, super sexy.
Well,
I mean...
Shut the fuck up. Kate, I kind of wanted those proton guns to be my pussy. I'm not gonna lie. Kate McKinnon was hot, but she was also terrible. She was really
oh my god,
terrible.
She was trying way too hard.
I was such a mixed bag of emotion between being really turned on and just cringing so hard at how terrible she was.
Like it's kind of one of those things where, like, I'm sure Paul Feig's direction was, you know, no, I need you to be a little bit nerdier, and then she's like, okay, so I'm basically just going to, like, move really awkwardly and make really funny faces, and then I'm gonna flirt with Kirsten Wiig a couple times.
Well, how else is she supposed to be nerdy? Look at the script. What do you do with that?
Yeah, this script was not nerdy.
No. But, I mean, of course it wasn't nerdy. It was an attack on nerds, because nerds aren't cool anymore. Because nerds are all angry and misogynist trolls on the internet who have been bullied and now want to be the bully.
Yeah, by unleashing the trolls upon the world. I mean, literally, the trolls were held back by a fucking computer screen. I mean, there's so many fucking parallels to what was...
This was a movie about Gamergate. Let's cut through the bullshit. This was a movie about Gamergate.
Yeah, there's not a thin veil around it.
No, not at all. This was almost as clearly out there as that episode of Law & Order SVU.
Oh, God. Yeah.
I will say that episode of Law & Order SVU was a much better done episode. Like, that was much more competently made and better written. Which is not saying anything about that episode. That episode was terrible, but it was better than this.
Even though I've never fucking watched a Law & Order episode, I understood the characters. There was a clear arc that was made. This movie didn't have character arcs. Like,
no.
how do you have a major Hollywood movie and not have a character arc happen?
No, nothing happens in anybody's personal life. Nobody changes, nobody evolves, nobody has relationships with each other. They're all just... I know this sounds stupid, but they're all just doing things. They're not being people.
Yeah, and then Rowan possesses Chris Hemsworth, and then they go off to stop Chris Hemsworth, and then he's like, oh my god, I should have worked out more. I really should have worked out more. This is amazing. And what's hilarious is, so in the movie, there's a scene where the police and the military get possessed, and then they just move their arm in one direction. But that's all you see in the movie. Wait until the credits. Because Paul Feig wanted there to be a dance number.
Well, I think everybody knew about that. That's one of those things that, like, everyone knew was going to be in the movie. And we all sort of, like, knew where that dance number was supposed to be. And,
well,
like,
yeah,
this isn't like
but you get to see how bad it is in the fucking credits.
Well, the reason why it wasn't was because apparently when he was on set trying to film this scene, people were telling him to tone it down, and he burst into tears.
Because he's a little man baby.
I didn't say that. I just said that he burst into tears. And I'm going to leave it at that.
This movie definitely needs some ectoplasm thrown at it.
Well, the big problem with this movie was literally nobody wanted to make it. Amy Pascal did not want to make it. Paul Feig was not brought on board to make this movie. He didn't want to make it. I'm pretty sure he doesn't even fucking like Ghostbusters based on the emails that were like the loose, outline of what he wanted to do.
It's too male-oriented.
Well, also, he doesn't like anything about... He modeled it. He was like, okay, what if we take the idea of, like, people busting ghosts, but make it more like Transformers, where, like, this thing happens, and the people have to go after it, but the government doesn't want people to know, so they all cover it up. So then at the end, nobody knows that it was really this other life form. Oh my god, the
government cover-up thing was so stupid. It was like, oh, so we're going to publicly humiliate you, but in private we're like, oh, we're totally cool. We'll do anything you want. Like, we'll give you that firehouse that you really want.
I still don't really know why they need the firehouse.
Because the original Ghostbusters had it. And that was another thing. So what?
Like, at this point, I'm just like, why are you even trying to be like the original Ghostbusters?
Well, yeah, there were so many fucking callbacks to the original. And every single callback made me want to fucking shoot myself in the fucking theater.
It wasn't as bad as I thought, though, honestly, because from the look of the trailer, I thought that a lot of the callbacks were kind of illustrating how much they fucking hated the original, and they weren't as terrible as I expected.
Well, I think there was probably some people in the production team that are just like, I actually like this in Ghostbusters.
I will say I was relieved that Ernie Hudson was the least painful cameo, because Ernie Hudson's my favorite.
Yeah.
He's the most
Bill
awesome
Murray was the worst cameo.
Oh yeah, fucking fedora wearing sexist male. Women can't do this as well as I can.
Yeah, what was it about the movie? Like, literally fedora. Having every fucking male dumbass douchebag have a fucking fedora.
No, they only did that with 2. But they did it like 3 or 4 times in the movie. It was enough. It was stupid as fuck. And it was pretty clear. They were talking about meninists and men's rights activists. Because the main guy is this man who's like, oh, if only you women understood how hard it was for me. If only you knew. And they're like, well, we get shit on all the time. Everybody gets shit on. How shocking is that? Unless you're rich, you will get shit on. And just because you're rich doesn't mean that everything's great for you either. But if you're not, you are guaranteed that you are shit on in your life. You know, that fucking quote, all happy families are happy in the same way, but all unhappy families are different in their own way.
Oh, I don't know.
Pretty sure that's Swan's Way. I'm not sure if that's true. I just pulled that out of my ass, though. I know the quote, I just don't remember where it's from. But the idea of just, like, that's just something that people just can't grasp. And that was, like, a major thing in this movie, which is like, oh, well, women are treated so terribly. And everyone else is just, like, a big crybaby. Even though he's called, like, horrible things to his face all the time, you're never really supposed to sympathize with him. You're just supposed to be like, look, people are calling him terrible things to his face. Look how terrible he is. He must be a shitty person if people are treating him that way.
Yeah. And, like, you can't even say, like, the not all men thing, because, like, literally there isn't even a slightly positive male role. And I guess that's, in some weird fucking regressive way, this idea of saying, oh, well, see, guys did it for a long time. They just had a whole bunch of shitty fucking women in the movie that were just eye candy. Again, like, nobody fucking gave a shit. And it's like, yeah, but, like, people don't like shitty characters, regardless of what fucking gender they are.
I didn't like the shitty men. I didn't like the shitty women. They all sucked ass. Like, that's just it. At the end of the day, everyone was terrible. And the entire movie was terrible. The only person I can give props to is the music guy.
Yeah,
or gal. Because I know that the composer was a man and the supervisor was a woman. So I'm going to give both of them props because they probably both were really awesome. And I'm sorry that Fallout Boy ruined that for you. Oh, that was the other thing that was killing me. I jokingly, every time I talked about the Fallout Boy song, I always jokingly called it Light 'Em Up, the Ghostbuster remix. But then they actually had to plug it into the movie, where twice they get their proton packs and they're like, light 'em up. Fuck this movie. God damn it. The other thing about this movie was I couldn't tell if they were trying to subtly address the fact that people are racist, or if the movie was just blindly racist. Because there was some shit that I was just like, what the fuck? There was a scene where Aaron was like, oh, we're all scientists. Oh, and you, Patty. I was like, what the fuck?
Well, yeah, I mean, it is kind of fucked up.
With you.
I do think it is kind of fucked up that, okay, so, the original Ghostbusters, Ernie Hudson wasn't a scientist. Okay. And
but in the original script, there was supposed to be a lot more of him.
There was supposed to be a lot more of him. He also had special military expertise that he was bringing to the table to basically put them in check when they're being all geeky and shit like that. And he's like, no, you guys gotta fucking do your job.
To be fair, I'm gonna play the devil's advocate. I hate the fact that his part got cut so much, but it wasn't because of a racial thing. It was because they were originally supposed to have, I think it was Eddie Murphy. And then when he fell through and they got Ernie Hudson, his name didn't have as much star power at that point, so they cut his part a lot back. Yeah. So at least that was more about star power and not about some sort of racial politics.
Yeah.
So that's something, but it's still sad. There should have been more Ernie Hudson. He's the best.
All right, so let us know in the comments what you thought about the movie. Also, if there are any articles about the movie that you find exceptionally interesting, definitely plug them in, because I would love to read them.
I will say I did read one where she tried to postulate, oh, well, yes, the antagonists in this film are all men, but if you excluded that, you could have taken all the characters and made them men, and it wouldn't have changed anything, and that shows how progressively feminist this movie is. And it's like, no, and no to all of those things.
Well, thanks for listening.